Welcome to week 13, everybody. If you're new here, hi. Welcome to This Cat Can Ball, the show where we highlight one player each week who's largely been unknown either to riding the bench for a long time, being drafted late, or in some cases not even drafted at all. But they decided to show up this week, so we're giving them their moment in the spotlight. Week 13 is superstitious number. For any of you that watch NFL Red Zone, you know when Scott Hansen talks about the witching hour, this is kind of that part of the season. On the show, he says that's when wins become losses and losses become wins. In this case, for the season, this is the part of the season where the teams that are fighting for those wild card spots will either emerge to make it or fall back into, well, a pretty decent draft pick, hopefully. First off, about the AFC, it's not as locked up as the NFC. We'll get to them in a little bit, but in the AFC, there's a bit more competition, and one of the craziest things is that New England Patriots are the number one seed, and they've kind of done it quietly. I think a lot of people were unsure going into this season because Belichick didn't have Brady anymore. This is his second season without him, obviously. And last year, it was kind of made obvious that, you know what, maybe Brady was a pretty big part of that. But now you're seeing that with this rookie Mac Jones, who I think might run away with the award. Jamar Chase with the Bengals could still fight for that offensive rookie of the year. But Mac Jones, just for the fact that he's helping this team not only win games, but to be number one seed in the conference, that might lock it up for him. But yeah, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Kansas City, if they don't win their division, these guys are pretty much locks just to make the postseason. For the past 5 years, these guys have always been contenders. And I say 5 because before that, Kansas City they weren't always as sure as bet as they are now. Now with the wildcard teams, if the season were to end right now, we have these three teams. Pittsburgh and the Colts might have a shot, but they're kind of in that they need to win it out. Because these three teams that are 7-5, Chargers, Bengals, and Bills, they have control right now as far as tiebreakers go over the other teams. They don't necessarily have to win it out. It would be great for them if they did. But right now, this playoff picture, I don't see it changing very much. If I had to put my money on a team switching spots out of these 7, I'd probably see the Chargers dropping out and the Colts moving up. But that's a little bit of a gamble right now. I think since we are about 2/3-ish, 3/4-ish to the season, this playoff picture looks pretty locked. I would love to see the Dolphins. They are the huge dark horse candidate to make it. They've won 5 in a row, but that would require them just being on their, not an A game, their A+ game for the rest of the season. I just don't see that happening. But for now, like I said, the only, out of these top 7, the only one that I would see switching is the Chargers dropping out and the Colts moving up. On the other side, NFC, we already have some locks. I've been huge on the Cardinals, and rightly so. They have not let me down. Even when Kyler Murray wasn't in the starting lineup, they were still killing it week in and week out. They have so much as far as, offense, defense, special teams, running game, pass defense, run defense, pressure on the quarterback, secondary help. They have everything just firing right now. And now that they got Kyler back, he's getting his magic going again with DeAndre Hopkins. They are pretty unstoppable in the NFC. They should have no problem keeping up either that 1 seed or in the top 2. The only team I see dethroning them in the NFC would be the Packers because Rodgers has pretty much everything you need. This guy has the physical skills, he has experience, he has the championship pedigree. And when you talk about championship pedigree, nobody in the NFL, actually this is probably quantifiable, no one in NFL history has it better than Tom Brady. This is something I've talked to before with some of my friends when it comes to sports. There are some players that simply make a team better, whether they're on the field, on the sidelines, just for them being in the stadium, the team plays better. Tom Brady is exactly that for the Buccaneers. Last year showed it. I guarantee you nobody had an inkling of a thought that they were going to win the title. You get Brady on that team, he changes that entire team. Brady, coming from New England, he was a 6-time champion, right? That's what he is. When they don't see a veteran quarterback coming in, they see a championship quarterback coming in. When he comes in, he changes the mindset of that team. They go out on that field, they feel and they play like champions, and it showed. Last year was just case in point. They felt like champions. Cowboys in the East, they are looking to lock it up. I know the Washington football team has been really pushing pretty hard, and I do like them. I think they're going to make a solid effort and lock up a wildcard spot. They're not going to challenge the Cowboys. I do see Washington being one of the guaranteed wildcard teams. It's funny to see the Rams as a wildcard team because they're so good. But, you know, when you're in a conference, like, look at the playoff picture as is. You have 3 teams from the NFC West. These are all teams that are deserving, right? I mean, the Cardinals, they're number 1 seed. The next is the Rams at 8-4, and they're a good team. They're just relegated to wildcard just for the fact that the team above them is just superior. You know what I mean? They could be division champs if they weren't just in such a hard-fighting division. Now that leaves that last spot where it's going to be a little strange to see a division send 3 teams to the playoffs. The 49ers are looking to be that third team. I'm not convinced just yet. I think it's going to come down to the 49ers, the Eagles, and Vikings, and what's really going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion only, may not matter to anyone else, but it's going to be leadership at the quarterback position. You got Garoppolo in San Francisco, you got Hurts in Philadelphia, and Cousins in Minnesota. Now, they're all good quarterbacks. It's all going to really come down to who can make the winning decisions. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC that are locked up to go already. They have that solid foundation of leadership at quarterback. You have Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. These guys are, as the position of quarterback says, they are field generals. They are the generals for their team. They are hands down the leaders. So it's going to come down to who's going to show the leadership to finally get there. My money, I see the Vikings squeaking it out. It's a far-fetched bet, but I'm going to go with them. Speaking of far-fetched bets, that's one of the whole points of this show, right? This cat can ball. The player featured this week did have a bit of a long shot. You see, whenever I do the research for the players, I'm always kind of wondering if someone's ever going to say, like, you know what, hey, Omar, like, this guy, he already laid the foundation to become a star. But luckily, no one really watches my show, so I don't get called out on that. But the guy I chose this week is Los Angeles Chargers receiver Jalen Guyton. Now, this guy had a lot going for him at a young age. He actually went to high school with Kyler Murray, and together they actually won a Texas State title. Now, right out of high school, he went to Notre Dame, redshirted as a freshman, got into some disciplinary issues, left Notre Dame and transferred to community college. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear that is exactly reminiscent of another great receiver, someone you may have heard of. His name is Randy Moss. Now, he's considered the second greatest receiver in the history of pro football. He was kind of on that path. He was an outstanding high school receiver, all set to go to Notre Dame, had disciplinary issues, had to fall back down a little bit. Now let's get back to this guy Guyton. After a little stint in community college, he went to North Texas. Not an entirely huge football school. They have a really good jazz program. And he did very well there, and as a redshirt junior, entered the NFL draft. Didn't get drafted. That's almost one of the prerequisites to be on the show. And was picked up by the Cowboys, but dropped. And then in 2020, he actually went over to the Chargers. They signed him, and he had a pretty decent first year. It wasn't his rookie year per se, which his first year in the NFL, did pretty well. This year is when he's really started to blossom, and I think this week was kind of like where it shows that this guy is going to be, first off, a viable fantasy option. Of course, you can't deny the fact that he has Justin Herbert throwing to him, who is just getting better every day as a quarterback for the Chargers. And Guyton had himself 4 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Really good stats overall, considering, as I've talked about in the past with the Minnesota receiver Osborne, he has a pretty good cast around him, so they're going to be getting the lion's share of the receptions and just the ball and the attention, right? He does pretty well for himself when the Chargers already have Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. He's already taking carries. He's getting passes out of the backfield. He's a dual threat runner. And also there's Mike Williams and Keenan Allen as receivers already for the Chargers. Great options. So Herbert has 3 options already. Guyton still manages to get 4 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown in kind of a supporting role. You know what I mean? That's really good even if he was a number 1 or 2 option. But he's kind of relegated to the 4th, maybe 5th option behind the tight end, right? Which also shows me that Herbert has confidence in him, right? To give him these opportunities because he only threw 4 passes. He caught all 4. Good connection there. They're developing good chemistry. Putting that all together from where he's from, like his Randy Moss style background, to getting to this level, still standing out amongst a good supporting cast, I gotta look at this guy and say,
this cat can ball, man.
So that's gonna wrap up the show for this week, folks. I really hope you like it. If you do, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. These do come out every week, but the bell will let you know just in case you forget. Be sure to leave a comment if you did find something in particular you liked or something you didn't like. Comments and interactivity are the best way that I learn and get better. So yeah, just one more time, like, comment, subscribe. I am Omar, and I will see you guys next week.